What's up, insiders? Welcome back. Today was an absolute slugfest for me. Man, I did not catch a break. CMND was absolutely destroying me, and I thought, today's definitely a perfect day to make a recap video because this ticker had me on the brink of max loss. I want to also share a little bit of the notes I've been taking on some of the top gainers, and then we'll wrap up the video with notes from Tim Gritanni's trading journey. I think you guys will find that really interesting. Let's start with the running P&L, and man, January has been a little bit tricky. One reason is because I was traveling a lot. A lot of these trades were done in a train, in a hotel lobby at the airport, and so on and so forth. It wasn't until Monday I got back, and this is really when I quote-unquote started trading for the year. Maybe you could even say Friday because I had more time waiting for the airplane to arrive. But yeah, Friday was my first day back in the office. It was an okay day, nothing too crazy. Tuesday was also very tricky and just didn't work out for me that day. I just took a lot of losses back to back, and I wasn't really able to find that one that would have got me green. And then today, kind of similar situation. I started up 200. I didn't have like any major losses. I think my biggest loser was like a $300 loss or something like that. I'm using pretty big size. So the fact that I was only up 200 and I was only down like 500 is a pretty small variance for using 6,000. Some of my trades were over $10,000. So I just, I cut my losses really quickly, but I didn't really get any winners. So the ticker we'll probably start talking about first is CMND. And the reason for it, because this is the ticker I really traded the most. I think I had like 20 something trades on this ticker, and the other ones I had like one or two. So this ticker, I was interested because that float was below 5, which I'm usually looking for, 5 million. And something that I find interesting as well that I've been tracking is sometimes the shares outstanding is quite high, but the float is really small. So there's a big difference there, which sometimes you might notice there's no news, but the ticker is still moving really well. And that's because it has a low float. And oftentimes a low float ticker is the news, right? This ticker is moving and it's got a float below 1 million. People are trading it because of that, because there's that chance it has that exponential potential. So exponential potential, that sounds weird. So yeah, CMND had a catalyst. I wasn't super interested in it because it was like an FDA meeting. It wasn't even some sort of approval or anything. But other than that, everything was looking pretty good. And it was probably one of the better tickers. And here's actually a nice little overview of all the tickers we were trading. I'll put my head out of the way a little bit. NVNI, yeah, just popped and kind of faded. CUTR from yesterday, holding its highs but not really doing so much. And I'm not interested in multi-day runners. This is for the multi-day check, and very small amount of tickers do multi-day. I'll make a video about what I see for multi-days that are trends for other multi-day tickers. So what makes a ticker have a multi-day? I'll definitely come out with a video for that one. So subscribe if you haven't done so already. That video is in the works. So let's go back here. We also had SANA, then KITT, and then CMND. This is the one that I thought was going to start ripping, and then it really didn't amount to much, and it was a little bit disappointing if you ask me. So CMND, I don't even think my trades are going to show up on it. I took a lot of trades on this one, and I'll quickly review what my psychology was behind this one, and really where I made a lot of mistakes. CMND popped up quite quickly, but it wasn't really that interesting. The volume could have been a little bit more, so I wasn't that excited about it. I did get some trades in right here. This is actually where I made most of my money. Corey actually called it the day in our Discord, I think it was like early on, and I unfortunately gave back right here. I bought low somewhere like here, and then I actually ended up stopping out there, but this size was so big that I took like a $200-300 loss on this one right there. And at this point it was just really tricky to trade. Like, I knew it was a grindy ticker, which was kind of surprising for its low float. And this is what made me so frustrated trading this ticker. I would often buy these pullbacks, and then I would hold, and then I would get stopped out and it would pop, and I was like, oh man. And right here, look, big pullback, and then often you'll see these things rip, especially with the low float. But this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 moves that didn't work out. So I was getting stopped out a lot, and even here, breaks out, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 candles of consolidation, a quick pop here. But even these candles that popped up were just a lot of inching up, inching back down. So I had a really hard time trading this one. And, it was it the ticker or was it me? I'm not even totally sure. And here's a good reason why. Because there was a big sell-off at the open. And this is a classic morning panic. Sometimes they rally back up, but I trade morning panics really, really well typically. Unfortunately, I went pretty deep red on CMND right here. And I was like, man, what am I doing wrong on this one? So I think I was maybe just a little bit too aggressive today. I was really, really trying to get back in the green. and I think that was messing me up. I also did a few more trades here in this chop, and usually I never trade below VWAP, but I kept on thinking, oh man, we're making a rounded bottom, it's going to break back above VWAP, and right now it is, trying to trend higher again. So it's a very tempting ticker, and that's exactly why I wrote here, CMND is trying to lure me back for more red, must refrain from trading. Because oftentimes, if there's a ticker that you're trading and you're just going more and more and more in the red, you should probably just stop trading that one. And that was the case with CMND. I was up on it, then I went red, and then I went more red, and then I went more red, and then I made a little bit back, and then I went more red again. So it was just like, I was basically hoping that I would have another one of those pops where I make a little bit of money on this one, and then I would just be like, okay, I'm done with it. But yeah, it was just a really, really tricky ticker, and you just got to know when to walk. I walked away today around like 10.50. I think that was around my last trade. I think it was on KITT. I'll just quickly show you guys these other tickers. They were kind of interesting. There was definitely some opportunity. KITT was a nice one, but it's below $1. I don't trade these so much, so I hesitated here a bit. But this ticker got me away from, at the time I was at right around max loss, and this ticker put me back into the green, so that was nice. And I was just like, okay, now I have a little bit of fresh air. But again, tricky ticker. After its climb, it was kind of done. It was a little flushy, not exactly my bread and butter. SANA, it doesn't even look that bad, but pre-market it had nothing, and then it moved here only like 40%. I'm typically not trading tickers until they're at 40%, so I kind of got on board on this one a little bit late when it was already done. But actually, this little pullback here, this flag setup is quite nice, and I should have been a little bit more vigilant on this one when we had a breakout here. But again, it was around that 40% zone, and usually I'm not even looking at tickers when they're at 40%. Again, here, look at this. So I'm looking for that percent gap, and all of this is typically over 40%. There's like literally 3 that aren't. So maybe even 1 or 2. I remember there was one somewhere. So here's a 17% one. So yeah, I'm just very hesitant. And again, I'm going to come out with a video where I go through the trends of these top gainers. So stay tuned for that video. Last one, NVNI. This is really sad and kind of sums up a little bit the day where you just have a ticker pop and then just starts fading all day long, reducing its volume. So it was a tricky day. It was a day where if you got green, you just kind of wanted to take the green and run for the woods. And that was my goal. I was like, if I just get a little bit of green here, I'm going to run. And you know what I should have probably, could have, would have done is the second I was basically back to break even in these areas, I should have called it, because it happens a lot where I go red, I'll do a green to red, and then I have my own retest. And mind you, I don't even really know, because I'm not looking at my P&L often intraday, and I have that perfect retest here, double top and pop back down. So sometimes my P&L chart looks like a stock itself. And today wasn't a day where there's a lot of opportunity where I should actually keep pushing it. And I did keep pushing it, and I'm kind of paying a little bit for that, because technically I traded I basically traded an hour and a half more just to lose money. So that is time and money that I'm losing, and that's a part of the calculation I feel like a lot of traders don't talk about, and I find that's quite important. If you're just starting out, like we talked about in the podcast yesterday, you want to trade and get as much screen time in as possible, but once you have a winning strategy, you've learned the ropes, you've been doing this for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, maintaining your energy levels and making sure your confidence is high, I feel like is almost a bigger part of the battle. So I would have rather ended here, save this energy for tomorrow, and have a little bit more confidence tomorrow. So that's why, if it's not a good trading environment and you're just back to break even, sometimes that's the best thing. Now, if it's a hot trading environment, you went red and now you're back at break even, but there's so many opportunities, I would say keep trading because it's worth it. But today was not that kind of day. Always easier to talk about in hindsight. But I try to think about that quite actively in my head. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about here is this Tim Gritanni steps in learning to trade. I thought this was a really good tweet from Tim Sykes, where I think he just summarized Tim Gritanni's lessons here. So Tim Gritanni steps in learning to trade. He says, fail some more, learn from mistakes, focus on what I'm good at. I think this is a really important one. At one point, you got to focus on something, and he kind of iterates that a little bit more. Narrow my focus to just what I'm good at. That's really good, and that's why you have a trading journal, so you can dig deep as much as you can. Only trade that. Ignore all the chat room hype, obviously, unless it's from the TradeJournal Discord. Jokes, jokes, jokes. Ignore all the crap people are trading that I shouldn't care about because it's not what I'm good at. Be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. I think this is super important. I was talking about that on the podcast yesterday, where one of the best things I did was just stream for 2 years straight. It forced me to basically trade the exact same thing at the exact same time every single day, and that made a massive difference. And I think that's a big reason I got profitable within 6 months. Grow your account, slowly branch out. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm trying my swing trading for the last, I would say, probably like 2 years now, where I'm trying to swing trade on the side. And I think that's great. It's giving me a little bit of time to think about other things, reflect on my own day trading strategy, and then also have a second strategy for macro events, which I really like. Day trading is more like, gappers are gappers, but I like that swing trading strategy for big macro trends. That's all for me today. I'll see you in the Discord. I'll see you in the next video. Like always, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.